I'm not sure if you've noticed on the intraweb that people are raving left and right about how the new Edifier Stax Spirit S5 could be the best wireless closed-back planar magnetic headphone on sale right now for the money. But of course, as a reviewer, I wouldn't be doing my due diligence as well as service to you if I just went with all the hype, right? So to find out if the S5 is really worth your time and coin or not, I brought along the older S3, don't be shy, come closer, to see what has changed in the past 2 years. The Stax Spirit S5 comes in one single colorway and it retails for $500. That's a whole $100 more than when the S3 came out. Bluetooth 5.4 on board as opposed to 5.2 in the past, and now it has support for SBC, AAC, LHDC, LDAC, and almost every aptX version out there. Regular aptX, aptX HD, aptX adaptive, as well as aptX lossless for devices that support it. This thing now features a second-gen planar mag in collaboration with Audeze called Equal Mass Drivers, and Edifier doesn't say how large they are, but my guess is it's 90 millimeters, which is the common size for Audeze drivers in this price range. Battery life on this thing is monster, guys. 73.5 hours with LDAC on at 65% volume, but that number jumps to 88.6 hours with aptX adaptive, again at 65% volume. The weight on this is 348 grams, a little bit heavier than before as well. And there's Google Fast Pair, there is no IP rating yet again, and also no active noise cancellation of any kind, in case you're wondering. So this isn't meant for use in noisy environments, just like the previous one. Correct me if I'm understanding this wrong or doing it wrong altogether, but a lot of S3 owners, and this is the S3 by the way with its pretend carbon fiber side, they talked about how bad the build quality is in terms of plastics and they creak a lot. The only thing I hear right now, or have heard all these time, is here on the hinge where, you know, I'm doing this extreme twist and you hear some rubbing against the plastics, you know, against each other. And that's about it. Occasionally I'll hear a pop if I stretch this far enough. I'll hear a creak right there, but it's not doing it now. So there's that. And then when you compare it with the S5, same creak, guys, same right here. So, you know, I don't know if it's a different batch or whatever that I got. The S3 on mine is quiet relatively, and the S5 is about the same. But I have to give it that build quality on this has been raised a few steps. This is really nice now. I love the all metal band at the top here. They've replaced the leatherette top of the S3 to a all metal band at the top. A single Edifier logo as opposed to two on this, on both ends on the old one. And more respect is given to the Stax branding, Stax Spirit, Stax logo, and then again Stax Spirit and the Stax logo right there. So there's that. The materials for even the ear pads, like this is the open mesh foam pad, as well as the leather pad and the leather on top of the headband, are, as far as I can tell, identical. They feel just as soft. They feel like, especially the leather or leatherette, feels just as nice in the hands, very comfortable. But the weight is spread out even more. Like I mentioned before, this is heavier, but it's spread out even more because this is wider now, and it stays on the head a little bit better, especially if you're head jamming to music. This has a slightly less tendency. It still does fall off pretty quick, but it has a slight lesser chance of falling off now. Things just seem to be more buttoned down with the S5, a little bit more polished and more hidden. Like on the S3, where my right pinky is pointing, I'm not sure if it'll show up on the camera. That's the problem with filming darker colored products. There's exposed screws right there. There's none on the S5, and down here on the hinge there's one screw down there, and here there is none. Hinge articulation has not been compromised. It's pretty much identical to the previous one. You can still fold this down compact and toss it in the backpack if you want to, if you don't want to use the case. But because this is a planar mag, guys, show it some respect, dang it. And the other thing is too, the headband has 9 D10s, in case you're wondering. So these can be worn comfortably around pretty much any neck size and just like DJ style and just be fine. Usually I have problems with a lot of headphones because my neck is on the broader side, but these, even like the S3, has been not a problem for me. One thing that Edifier did with this fake leather surface is stretch it around the corner here into a hidden space, right where the venting port meets. You can see some wrinkling right there. They didn't have to do it because it's hidden most of the time, but you know, it adds a little premium touch to it all around for what it's worth too. Now the ear pads are removable, and here you can see slightly some of the exposed area of the planar mags covered by a thin fabric protector. Same thing, there's another protector on the ear pad, so there's double the protection right there, I guess. Now, my favorite ear pad is the foam mesh version. I've always used it on the S3 and also now on the S5 as well, just because it's just more open sounding and it's cooler and all that. So, you know, some of you prefer the leatherette, but you know, at least Edifier provides an option. I'll tell you what, guys, Edifier does something that a lot of brands don't do at this price range, regardless if you're talking about the older gen or current gen, is the unboxing experience. It really does make you feel special. I've taken off the outer sleeve and this is the box you get. Like the S3 is very similar as well. When you slide off the outer cover, you can see the manuals on the inside. Don't skimp on that, but I'm not going to show you that. You know what that's all about. But it's all about the presentation. There's no like magnetic flaps, as you can see, or no collector coins or anything. But here's the case and the accessory box and the individually wrapped leather pads right here. One thing about the leather pads is they're a little bit lighter and thinner as well, but the aperture is the same. So if you have medium to large ears or large on the low end large ears, you're to be totally fine. But if you have large ears, you might want to test these out before you commit. All right. But these are lighter as well. And let me show you the accessories too. Once you pop this open, just like before, there is the USB-C charger cable, and there is a little pick for you to separate your ear pads if you'd like to, if you don't want to stress it with your hands. And then there is also, like before, the fabric line 3.5 mil adapter connector cables, and also we have the adapter right here. Now the case itself has taken a slight one step back, I would say. So there's the partition right here. It just sticks onto the inside and you just place your headphones in there. But the little pouch that was here is gone now. So what's up with that, Edifier? But otherwise, this kidney shaped case is really nice. The zipper, it has a nice smooth action, it has a carry loop right there, and it's pretty nice and compact for what it is.
So we're outside doing the Bluetooth range test for the S5 this time, and it's running another Space song by Failure, one of my favorite tracks, and it's playing on my OnePlus Open. And if you're new to this channel, welcome. And this is how we do things. I run every single time any kind of Bluetooth headset from the back of my house towards the side. I'm going to do a couple of checks to see when we start getting signal fluctuations. So on my rather messy deck right here, you can see the phone at the end there, and then where I'm standing is around 25 feet away. Signal is still going strong as it should, Bluetooth 5.4. So right around the window, we should see or hear a left-right fluctuation. So far, nothing. Woo, impressive. It's a beautiful day, actually. The weather's been strange. It's been raining on and off, and the sun was really bright and hot a few minutes ago, and now it's cloudy, and it seems like there's more rain coming that direction. Wow, impressive. Edifier is still going strong. Check this out. I'm right here. Look at this. There's a house. Oh, I just got a left-right signal fluctuation. But where I'm standing right now, it's around like 70, 75 feet away from the phone. And it's hopping either over the house or around the house or through it. I'm not sure how it does it, but pretty impressive stuff, Edifier. Anyways, this is how it looks on my head as well. It's, pretty figure hugging or head hugging. But I would say, if you're going to ask, don't take this for runs. This is not what it's for. It's an indoor device for listening. I mean, after all, there's no noise cancellation to block any of the sounds out. But, it has a pretty decent passive seal, so you might be tempted to want to take this outdoors when you're, running or whatever. On walks, it's fine. But when you're running, man, you can feel the weight. It's bobbing up and down, trying to look at this. I can shake my head and it comes right off. So anyways, that's all I have to say about that. Let's take this to the front of the road and get some sound samples and see how the mics perform. My impressions of the mics on these and how they work by the roadside after testing these for quite some time now is they operate within the parameters of Edifier headphones, their premium ones, like the 950. Testing 1 2 3. But not for the price range. For $500, I'm expecting a whole lot more maturity out of these. So something to bear in mind there. But here comes a truck right here. You can test these. Wind noise reduction, it's not pretty much non-existent. At least the wind doesn't enter the mics when you're talking, so it doesn't bug the heck out of you. I'm not sure if you heard that little sound sample right there when the truck passed by, how these handle. sound does enter into the recording really easily, right? That's what your listeners are going to be hearing. So it is what it is. At least they can hear your voice, but it pretty much just collects everything and barely manages to cancel out some of the extraneous noises. So it is what it is. Anyways, back to the studio.
I'm going to post the video I did of the S3 up above here so you can use that as a baseline, because in this video I want to focus on what exactly Edifier has improved, because the S3 has really good bones and the S5 continues on that. In terms of build, as you saw earlier in the close-ups, the S5 has reduced the number of assembly seams among other things and material choices as well, making for a less busy look than the S3. Still, I can't shake the thought. I've seen this design somewhere before in the Edifier product line. Can you take a guess, guys? Before I do the review here through a B-roll, just take a wild guess. It comes from a model from, I think, late last year, and it's not that expensive. So yes, take a guess right now. Nope, your eyes are not fooling you. It is the $150 950NB. It's like the same mold, guys. Aside from the different color and also a slightly smaller ear cap, everything is identical from the yoke to the headband to the number of screws. Everything seems identical. So that's my guess. Edifier didn't confirm or deny this, but I'm sticking with this story and that's it. So determined was Edifier to separate itself from the S3 that even the S5's app is different now. It's paired with a completely rebuilt app called Connects with an X, and that's definitely more cohesive and refined now. I like how the home screen has quick access to the settings you need most. For example, like ear pad setup, for which the app will calibrate audio based on what pads you have on, although the company doesn't specify what exactly changes when you do that. Sound effects is the EQ, in which you get like 3 presets as well as a rather small 4-band parametric with the ability to determine the frequency of each of the 4 bands, which is, I guess, a nice counter. Settings is where you can play with things like toggling LDAC modes, adjusting auto power off times, and so on and so forth. This next one is a small but big deal, guys. EQ settings are now stored on the headphone, which means it'll stay with you whether you're listening on your phone, your PC, your gaming console, or whatever. In terms of sound quality, which is the important part here, let's break it down a little bit. So with the S3 wired 3.5mm and USB-C, as tested at 50% volume, detail is good with a surprising amount of resolution. Soundstage is expectedly narrow, but even within this condensed space, my ears can pick out individual instruments. Bluetooth, adjusted to the same approximate dB levels, the same songs are predictably livelier and not dulled, with also slightly more zing in the bass department. There's just more positive bite and resolve to enjoy, just the way I remembered it when I praised the sound quality last year. For the S5 wired 3.5 USB-C, surprise, surprise, gain levels at 50% volume are at about a quarter level lower than the S3. I definitely wasn't expecting that. SQ is about the same. Now with Bluetooth, wow, these two are so close together, guys, it's not even funny. And I do sense a slightly more depth in each note though. And what the S5 gains in body, it does so at the detriment of some oomph in the lower registers. So yeah, bass punch doesn't feel as fun. But again, it's very close, guys, that you really have to pay attention to notice it. If there was any debate on how close LDAC and aptX adaptive are in terms of subjective qualities in the real world, yeah, comparing the S3 and the S5 back to back just might convince you. But anyways, back to the topic. Another tweak that Edifier seem to have made is soundstage. It now feels a tad bit more like an open back. I definitely noticed and appreciate the greater expansiveness. And I guess the thing with anything wireless and contentious like nature of wireless audio codec transmission and processing and all that, even on something as good as the S3 and the S5, you probably won't be using them for true critical listening. So in a sense, the question is, would anyone really care if the S5's marginal improvement is $100 better? So midway through this test, I started seeing a lot of questions asking if the new Edifier would make a good gaming headset, specifically against the $300 Audeze Maxwell, which is really well reviewed here. Well, in stock form, the quick question is not really. Unless you use like a third-party inline USB-C or 3.5mm boom mic attachment, the internal mics on this aren't up to snuff for proper gaming chatter. Latency is another important factor to consider. Both of these models are quick wirelessly, anecdotally faster on the Audeze's LC3 Plus versus aptX Adaptive here, but it's the lack of an almost zero latency Wi-Fi dongle that seriously limits the Edifier as a versatile gaming accessory for what it's worth. SQ-wise, in popular test songs like Ancestors by Bjork or Bubbles by Yoshi Horikawa, the most immediate thing that jumps out is how much brighter the S5 is to the more neutral sounding Maxwell. Some listeners may consider the latter more boring, but it also points to Edifier lifting up what feels to my ears the 5 to 10K region quite a fair bit. It's definitely more energetic and imparts sharper detail at the expense of ultimate composure at higher volumes. This thing stays rock solid all the way up to 90-95%, no problem. Soundstage, and especially holographic imaging from a gaming and media consumption standpoint, is wider on the S5, but to me feels artificially processed by the DSP or something. In isolation, the S5 sounds really nice, but next to a button-down Maxwell, it sounds like a slightly less mature planar mag setup. But that being said, for what it's worth, the S5 is a whole buttload lighter too. Ultimately, the question is the S5 worth the $100 premium over the S3? Well, that really depends on whether you think the upgrades, like with the build and materials, the innards and the tuning, as well as the LDAC certification and all that, truly justify the cost. If you already own the S3, I say stick with it. It's a great piece of kit and don't let anyone tell you otherwise, dang it. But if you're buying new, I would say wait for some discounts maybe, because personally I think Edifier should have kept the launch price the same, or at the very worst maybe like $450 for what the S5 is. But regardless of which model you pick though, I have to say I give mad respect to Edifier for continuing to show Stax and the Audeze based planar mag technology the respect they deserve. There's definitely some passion here. I can't wait for the next gen, just don't price creep on us, Edifier. And oh, if you want an Edifier that sounds 75% as good as the S5 and looks darn pretty much the same, there's always the W950NB. You're welcome. Well, that's all I got today, guys. This has been the Edifier Stax Spirit S5 review, and I hope you enjoyed my take on it. And thank you for spending your time today watching this. And if you like what I do, if you like the direction we're going, please subscribe, like this video, and reshare it with your friends and family. Thanks for being here. And remember to do something loving and kind for somebody in this world, because guess what? If you haven't seen the news, the world needs it more than ever, and it starts with you. I love you all very much. Peace out, and God bless.